Hi Dave. Yep, purpose of this video is just to give you a bit of an understanding as to what the software looks like and the potential capabilities of it for the makes and models that you look after and others that hopefully you can create some business with. So as you can see, as I mentioned, Texa is in all 5 different environments, but we'll head into marine. So here we've got it broken down into category, so inboards, industrial engines and generators, outboards, and personal watercraft. There's obviously repetition depending on the manufacturer. So we'll click into inboards, and what we're given is an alphabetical list of all the makes that we can do. Now, as you can see, I'll scroll down slowly. We're pretty much covering everything right the way down. We've got nanny in there, but obviously that's incredibly basic, and in fact it's blink codes more than anything. So we head on down. So for example, we've got Volvo down at the bottom. Now I think it would be good to show you that, just see what level we're at with that. So we click into Volvo, then we're faced with whichever model we want to choose. So you can see we've got a lot of the older ones as we go down into the EVCs, IPSs as well. We can communicate with those. The D just means I've got a demonstration mode, so I can pretend we're communicating. And then obviously down to the K80 and the TAMDs, which obviously there's limited ECUs on those anyway, so that, you know, the information is relatively small. Right down to the bottom. So what we'll do, we'll just head up to, I'll choose D9 or D12 EVC. So what it then tells us is which systems we can communicate with or potentially communicate with. So we've got the diesel injection engine, got the engine compartment, kinematic chain control unit. We've also got the instrument panel, depending whether drawbar instrument or vehicle drive control unit. I'll go through what we see on the left in a sec, but what we'll do is, what it does, it picks the engine, tells you how many cylinders. Then what we have is a little video. Sometimes we have a video, other times it'll just give us the option to choose a cable. Now obviously because we're not on anything I can't, but what we'll do, we'll hit start and we'll head into demo diagnosis. So I'll hit confirm on that. It does take a little bit of time, basically just to populate all the information. It tells you what to do, i.e. put the vessel into EVC OEM mode. So just confirm on that. It does take approximately 2 minutes, to be fair, it usually is. But once that's in, I can show you the format that you're faced with. On the left hand side, as I referenced earlier, we'll go back to that, but that's shortcuts to wiring diagrams, technical data, special functions, you know, potential sort of cylinder cutout tests, things like that. So there's a lot of possibility on that left hand side. So we'll just let this populate. Okay, so this has taken us into the main screen. Basically always goes directly into the fault screen. Texa works on a traffic light system, so if it's red triangle, warning triangle, it means there's an attention, there's a current fault that you need to start investigating. Amber means it's a memory fault, so something that's happened in the past, as you're well aware, we're using the diagnostic kit you do. So we just sort of list out, again, it's a demo mode, so it's just picked some things at random. We can double click these, we can get the MID code, PPID code, first time it happened, last time, and so on. So, and how many times as well. So just click on confirm there. What you'll start to see, you see these buttons in the bottom right hand side. We've got a shortcut to wiring diagrams, freeze frame data, an online web portal or forum where people are logging errors, fixes, possible causes, things like that, information to help you diagnose. But on the far right is the question mark, which you'll start to see against faults but also against live data, which basically where Texa are giving you a bit more information as to what that fault might be and what fixes there are. On the bottom left here, obviously we can print, we can save that information, we can try and erase the faults. Now the purpose of saving the information is always useful. There's an inbuilt customer management system, so you're able to save the information from that vessel. The time you plugged in, you can produce a report, show the customer, and then once you've done your diagnosis and done your fix, you can then do a rescan of the engine or the system. You can save again and you can show them the before and after. So it's a useful little system that's within the Texa. Just on the right hand side here, we've got statuses. So again, switches, but always useful to know if they are working or active when you're checking continuity of circuits and so on. So there's a lot of switches on this particular one. You've also got ECU info, so if you are replacing ECUs, there's a function or ability to do that within the Texa. But again, that's saving all the information from that ECU for future. Importantly, we'll come back to activations in a minute, is your live data or parameters. So basically we've got a huge long list of sensors that the Texa's reading while it's communicating. As you can see, I'll just scroll down. Lots of information, boost pressures, air intake pressures. Just on the right hand side is obviously the unit of measure and the reading itself. So again, depending on the ECU, and it will depend on the ECU that they've installed as to what information you're going to be able to get. Obviously engine speed, we're not moving, so that's fine. But there's operation times in there, total fuel consumption, and so on. There's a lot of information in there. What we've got the ability to do here, if you have we've got 20, I think it's 20 here. Yeah, 20 parameters. On some engines you can have a lot more. So what we've got down here is a filter button, so we can choose just a few that we want to look at. Reduce that list, and if you're, rather than trying to watch a number change, we can put it into a graph format and you can watch peaks and troughs in that, which is certainly a lot easier. The other ability we've got is to record. We've got up to a 30-minute record, so there's potential sensors on the boat you want to record for up to 30 minutes. When you're going out on a sea trial, you can do that and it will record all that information. Again, you can save that and you can show the customer your findings as well. So another useful feature. So we'll just come back out of that. Just going over to activations. On this particular one, all we've got is error cleaning. Fine, so again we can do that. But what we do have access to, I'll just come out of this, just in communication. That's a very whistle-stop view of the information there, but on the left hand side here we've got self-diagnosis, which is what we're in now. Special functions, so there's a guided components check. Now depending on what ECU's in there will depend on whether we can do cylinder cut-offs, injection coding, a variety of different operations that we might be able to carry out. We've also got wiring diagrams here, so on this particular D12 EVC we've got a wiring diagram here, so we'll just open that up. These are all interactive. You can see with just me running the cursor over the items that there's a lot of information being highlighted. So for example, here we're on the main ECU. To the right you can see it tells you exactly what it is, but also gives you a location as to where it might be. That's the same for a lot of them. Some have locations, some don't, but you can see as you go through. And just by clicking on these you can look at an image of the particular item. You can look at a data card, NTC water temperature sensor. So basically what this will do is give you a bit of information, operating principles, identifying it, just giving you a clear understanding of what the part does. There's a lot of information in there, potential tests that you can carry out. We do head into oscilloscoping here, which might not be something you're interested in, but again, that will take you that far. So we can come out of that. Up here again, we've got connection information. So basically just gives you a bit of a clue as to what's connected to what. So for example, click on that and we can see that we've you see the description, you see the pin, and you see the code, so you can see the flow of communication. So again, on a lot of these we can just click on them and it'll highlight as to where. I've got a couple of pages there. Obviously depending on complexity and which systems we've got, you'll have a lot more. But again, you can sort of click through, look at the component list and pick out what you need to look at. So we'll just come back out of there. Technical data sheets, again, Volvo I think were particularly good. We've got a lot of information here on the EVC and how to calibrate it. For example, here we've got the control lever calibration. Obviously you've got this within your Volvo tool, but again there's a decent level. As I scroll down here, you can see there's a decent level of information in there, depending on what you're looking for. And again, on the left hand side, we've got what they're calling nominal values or guided diagnostics. So this is what I was talking about to you before, which is the error codes, the Volvo error codes we have. For example, cylinder 4 magnetic injector. We can click on that. It gives us detailed information as to what it means, how to carry out the tests, what to look for, test conditions, and so on. So it really does help you make your diagnosis. So we'll come back out of that. So obviously there's a lot in there. Again, if there's engine management control unit issues, a lot of the time the meanings compared. I mean, the other point to make is that with buying the kit, you do get the 12 months technical support. So if there's something in there, not obviously for Volvo, but on the other makes, that you don't understand or the information hasn't quite made it to the system, that's something they can then give you over the phone, or at least investigate and get you the information that you need. So I'll just come out of there. Customer management, this is the, like I said, the internal system that you can save your customers, give them printouts, and so on. So there's a lot of bits and pieces in there. So we'll just come back out of that. Head into outboards. I know you mentioned Yamaha earlier. So again, we've got Evinrude, Honda, Johnson, Mariner, obviously. So we'll scroll down to the bottom here into Yamaha. So click on Yamaha. Now we've got a lot of demo modes on here. Most of them won't have any sort of ongoing faults that we can look at, but at least we can click into them. And again, on this particular one, we've got the petrol injection, whether it be for the European or US market. So we can click through into there. Again, we'll go into demo diagnosis. This should be a lot quicker than the Volvo. So yeah, like I said, there's no fault code showing. It hasn't managed to generate any for the demo in particular. But again, there's probably a bit more activation wise on the outboards. For example, being able to activate the cylinders. You can look at the engine RPM history. Error cleaning, obviously, to get rid of any faults. Ignition coil, intake air pressure history, ISC valve, angles, and so on. There's quite a bit of information in there just to, again, help you speed up your diagnosis. Again, these are similar to the Volvo, but parameter-wise, there'll probably be a little bit less on these. But you can see, again, it's populated it with particular readings. Again, like I mentioned, we're starting to see question marks. So we can click on this, for example, click on the question mark, and basically that will tell you the parameter should be lower than 90 degrees. Sometimes you see a reading, through experience you're going to know if certain ones are off or spurious, but you know, on a lot of occasion, if it's an engine you don't know that well, it's good to be able to see what these parameters should be. So we can out of that. So again, that's the Yamaha. We'll head back to outboards. We'll have a quick look at Mariner as well. So again, we've got all the different models listed here. Certainly quite a few. And we'll just go to one of the ones that we've got a demo mode on, which will be this, which has got Mitsubishi ECU. So again, we can click through to that. Again, it will tell you, this is what I was mentioning earlier about having a little video as to where the diagnostic port might be. They hide them in all sorts of places, as you well know, but it helps save a little bit of time. Also gives you an indication as to which side it is, and also which cable you're going to need to use. So I'll just come back out of that and we'll go into demo diagnosis. Again, this should be a little bit quicker than the Volvo one was. So in a similar vein, so we'll just go back to activations. Again, there's a lot of information similar to the Yamaha that we can look at. And again, a lot of live data in there. Very similar, in fact, very similar to the Yamaha. But again, you've got access to those technical data sheets there while you're communicating. So again, engine management switch module, for example, we can look at that technical data sheet, which again will give you a bit of an indication as to how everything works. And again, wiring diagrams in there as well. So, and lastly, I just wanted to show you the CDU or BRP, because we spoke about that. Obviously not a huge amount of them around, but I'll just drop back to it in boards. I'll just head down to CDU here. Now you can see the CDU level is very good. I'll pick a 230 Challenger for example. Now you can see on here we've got 4 different systems, including the engine that we can work on. On the left hand side here we've got special functions. These will be special adjustments, so CAN alignment, key registration with key adapter, and so on. So all these bits and pieces. Also we've got maintenance service on the left hand side, so again you're going to have winterization procedures in there. Again, I won't go into that now, but you get the gist as to what we can look at. So again, yeah, depending on whether we're port, starboard, we can make a choice there. There's a lot of other features in it, but hopefully that will give you a decent idea as to the sort of level of ability that the Texa has got. Just have a quick look at personal watercraft there as well. Again, similar. So yeah, hopefully this has been quite useful. At least gives you a clue as to how the system works.